Hey everyone, it's Raden, and today I'm going to be presenting to you the rules of the Arcadelocke. This is a Nuzlocke variant that I've been testing for around a year now, and I'm really excited to finally be bringing it to YouTube and to all of you guys. It's a really fun challenge, and you know, this video is so that way you guys understand exactly how I'll be playing the game, and to allow you guys the opportunity to give it a try for yourself. So, what are the rules? Well, typical Nuzlocke rules apply. You can only catch the first Pokemon in any given area. Fainted Pokemon are considered dead and must be boxed indefinitely or released. There are certain scenarios in the Arcadelocke where it's better to box indefinitely, and we'll get to those in a little bit. All Pokemon must be nicknamed. I am going with a nicknaming theme. I did run a poll on Amino, but I didn't really like what won, so executive decision, I am doing the theme of land forms. So you get a lot of really cool nicknames, and hopefully I'll be able to show you guys pictures of what each of those look like. So those are kind of the rules of the Nuzlocke challenge. So how does the Arcadelocke differ? Well, the main gimmick, I guess, of the Arcadelocke is the random number board. So, after certain battles, you will generate a random number 0 to 36. And they have wild effects. We'll get to those in a little bit, since those can be changed up a little bit. However, when you spin is pretty immutable. So the battles are as follows. Any gym leader battle, or I guess totem Pokemon battle in those weird Alola games. Any rival battle after getting Pokeballs. Any battle against the villainous boss. Since HeartGold and SoulSilver doesn't really have a leader of Team Rocket, Archer's awful. Sorry. I'm going to be counting Proton and Ariana as the villainous leaders, since it adds up to about the average number of times you battle most other villainous leaders. And again, you only fight Archer once. And those two, it's pretty evenly spaced out. You get, if I were to throw in Petrol as one, it'd be kind of awkwardly backloaded. Plus, Petrol can be notoriously hard with his team of 6 coughing. During the Elite Four, you get 2 spins to use at any time you wish. You just have to use them before the champion fight. And then, at any point in the game, if you're like, man, I really need this spin right now, you have up to 3 free spins that you can use at any point in the game. So, what are the effects? Well, this is the part that really can be changed to suit your liking. What I'm going to be showing you guys is the ones that I tested, I played with, I'm comfortable with them, and kind of where the Arcadelocke came from. So, if you roll a 1, 10, or 21, then one of your Pokemon gets to break the level limit until your next required spin. This is really helpful, especially around the middle of the game. Especially where HeartGold and SoulSilver have such odd level limits. We'll get into what I'll be using, just because they're, to put it bluntly, awful. However, on the other side of that coin, if you roll a 2, 11, or 31, you do not get to use Pokemon Centers to heal until your next required spin. We'll get it. Well, infield doctors and nurses I don't really see as Pokemon Centers, and when I was testing I would often correspond with my best friend, and I asked him what he thought of it, since we kind of came up with this challenge together, and he was like, yeah, no, I don't think that they count. So, if there is an infield doctor or nurse that I run into while this spin is active, I'm not gonna, stop myself. If you roll a 4, 14 or 34, you get no extra encounter in your next eligible new area. So, for example, let's say I'm in Azalea Town, and I've gone to train in Slowpoke Well, and I've got my encounter from there. And then I defeat Bugsy, and I roll a 4. That doesn't mean that the next area I go into, I lose my encounter. So I can't just, say, oh, I'm gonna go to Slowpoke Well, and that'll be my no encounter. No, it would be the next new area that I go into, which I believe would be Helix Forest. So, on the other side of that, a 5, 15, or 25 gets you an extra encounter in your next eligible new area, or the current area that you're in. So, if you're in like a city and you've already done like the gift Pokemon, like in Goldenrod, and you really want to go gambling, because let's face it, Voltorb Flip is kind of addictive, then you can use your extra encounter for Goldenrod City, or you can use it for the next new area that you go into. If you roll a 6, a 13, or a 29, you have to sacrifice a Pokemon for the rest of the game, and it means it counts against your death tally. It's released, not boxed indefinitely. And yeah, it's kind of unfortunate and a really harsh price to pay. But the other side of that, if you roll a 7, a 16, or a 27, you get to revive a Pokemon or prevent your next death. And that can cancel out the sacrifice. If you roll a 9 or a 30, you have to change your game mode. So from set to shift, or from shift to set, whatever it currently is, go into options and change it. Again, this doesn't really affect too much gameplay, but there are certain battles where it's nice to be in shift mode, and there's certain battles where it's nice to be in set mode. And 12, 24, and 36, you just re-roll. You just generate another number, and whatever that lands on is your next spin. If you roll a 0, an 18, or a 33, your next spin just doesn't happen. Not really a good or a bad thing, it's just kind of alright, I guess. And the remaining numbers, 3, 8, 17, 20, 22, 23, 26, 28, 30, 32, and 35 just don't do anything. They have no positive or negative value associated with them. They don't do anything. So those are the Arcadelocke rules that I'll be playing with. Again, if you find that some of them are too harsh or too lenient, you can make up your own effects. That's kind of the point of this. If you do, let me know what some of them are, and I may use them in a future Arcadelocke. So with that, there's 2 other rules. One of which pretty obvious. Since I did mention that if I roll a 1, 10, or a 21, a Pokemon breaks the level limit, that means that I have to have level limits. So here they are. They are kind of weird because HeartGold and SoulSilver are kind of awful in how they do their level pacing, especially after the 5th gym. So, while I would normally say, okay, it's just Gym Leader's highest level Pokemon and Champion's lowest level Pokemon are the level limits, I had to do a little bit of, getting creative. So, they are 13 before Faulkner, 17 before Bugsy, 19 before Whitney, 25 before Morty, 31 before Chuck. All pretty standard. Those are just highest level Pokemon and they make sense. Unfortunately, the next one is 35 before Price, however that level limit is in effect for Jasmine as well. The main reason for this is simply because Price's Piloswine, for whatever reason, is lower level than Jasmine's Steelix. I have no idea what the developers were thinking, if they were thinking at all, but, you know, it just makes level limits harder. 41 before Claire, 46 before the Elite Four. This is the level of, I believe, Karen's Houndoom, which is her highest level of Pokemon. And I figured it's a good halfway point between Will's lowest level Xatu and Lance's highest level Dragonite. That still gives me a little bit of an edge, and basically would mean that I'm right around the average level of Lance's Pokemon when I'm challenging him. Now we get into Kanto, and that's where all the level limits just go to the dogs. So, 53 before Janine, however that's in effect for Lieutenant Surge. Simple reason for this, Janine's Crobat is lower leveled than Lieutenant Surge's Electabuzz. I have no idea what they were thinking again, because it makes sense to battle Lieutenant Surge first, so they were clearly being just dumb, for lack of a better word. 54 before Misty, which doubles for Brock. Misty and Brock are the same level, and unless I have a Grass type on my team, this shouldn't be a huge concern. It basically just means that I have to be really cautious about training up that Grass type, or just, you know, not really training it and just making sure it's high enough in level to where it will just completely wreck the team. 56 before Sabrina, which will also double for Erica. This is the level of, I believe, Erica's whatever her highest level is. I think it's a Vileplume or a Blossom. I can't remember off the top of my head. However, instead of putting it as the limit for Erica, I put it for Sabrina, simply because I figured I'd need a few more levels to take down Sabrina over Erica. 60 before Blue, and not doubles for Blaine. They are literally one level difference in their highest level Pokemon, so it didn't really make sense to do level 59 level limit for Blaine and a level 60 level limit for Blue. And finally, a level 84 level limit for facing Red. And that's because I don't want to trade up to 88, because that's his Pikachu, and 84 seemed to be a good average and middle ground between all of his Pokemon. And the final restriction that I'll be playing with is I will only get to use 5 healing items per battle. Pokeballs don't really count against this, obviously. This rule is mostly there to just make sure I'm not, you know, spamming Hyper Potions just to make the battle drag on and PP stall my opponent. So yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to this challenge, and hopefully you guys are as well. So, I did come up with like a list of questions that I wanted to address, just because there's some stuff that's worth talking about. So, if I have one party member left and I roll a sacrifice, what happens? So, the way I go about this is pretend as if nothing happens until you have the ability to get new party members. You would then train up a new party and then relieve the sacrifice of its duty. That's one interpretation. The other, and probably more true to the Nuzlocke approach, is you would basically find a way to get that Pokemon killed, maybe like teach it a bunch of status moves and just spam those, and then let it, you know, go down with not much glory in the next battle that you face. Another one, do you have to use your 3 free spins? Not necessarily. I did a test run and I made it, and I only used 1 throughout the whole game. With sacrifice, do you get to choose who to sacrifice? So, the way I see this, no. However, if you want to play the game differently, you're more than welcome to. For the sake of not coming across as heartless, as well as for fairness, I'll just be using a random number generator. And finally, what about games with multiple rivals or villainous leaders? As I said, you spin after every one. So, the best way I go about this is pick one to consider your main rival or villainous leader and just count those. The other ones will just count as, you know, above average difficulty battles. So like Archie Maxie, I wouldn't count both of them, since especially in the later portion of Emerald, the battles happen often rather quickly against each other. Black and White is kind of weird. You would only count N as the villain after the Ferris wheel scene. And then like Black and White 2, like counting both Colress encounters. There's plenty of ways to work around it. I'm just talking about my personal experience and what I did. So the other thing, does Resurrect or sacrifice stay active even after you have another spin? So this would be, if I were to roll the revive tile, and let's say that I've miraculously had no deaths yet, maybe I got it early on in the game, does it stay active even after I roll another spin? And the answer to that is yes. It is one of the few it is the only spin actually one of the few spins, sorry, that will stay active long after you have you've rolled it and doesn't go away the next required spin. So, those are the rules of the Arcadelocke. I'm really excited to be bringing it to you guys, and I hope that you'll enjoy my HeartGold Arcadelocke challenge. I'll see you guys in the first episode of Raden's Arcadelocke for HeartGold. See you then.